Stitch! It's LadyRobynS. I am back. I am back on FlossTube. It's been a little bit of time and I have missed you. And I don't know what happened and why it took so long to get back to FlossTube filming, but I'm here. It is Saturday. It is the, sorry, I had to check my calendar. It is the 11th of January. And I think the last time I filmed the FlossTube was the 27th of December. I think that was when it was. So it has been a good long while and I have all sorts of things to update you about. So without further ado, let's get going. For people that have subscribed, I just want to thank you for doing that. Thank you for coming back and spending time with me. For folks that have just found my channel, welcome. I am really glad you're here. We talk about cross stitch on this channel, so I hope that's what you're expecting to hear, because if it's not, you're going to be disappointed. All right, so today it is a blustery day here in the Pacific Northwest. We have got winter weather advisories hitting the phone, so hopefully none of those will come in. I've put my phone on airplane mode, so hopefully we won't have any interruptions while we spend a little time talking about cross stitch. Today we are enjoying beverage out of our California Starbucks mug. And it is probably my last eggnog latte. I think I have about 1/4 cup of eggnog left in the fridge and one more latte, eggnog latte anyway, and we'll be back to regular old coffee without much flavoring. That's okay. You know what? It's fun to have things that you only enjoy during certain times of the year, and eggnog is one of those things. And I like eggnog. I like eggnog lattes, but I don't like them straight. I think I've told you this before. I like them half eggnog, half milk, and that's how I like them. If it's all eggnog, it's too sweet, which is crazy because I love sweet, but not too sweet in my coffee. Okay, so what have I been up to? I have been up to planning for stitching, more than stitching. I do have stitching to show you, don't panic, I even have a finish, but I have spent a lot of time planning and trying to kit things up and get myself moving along here in 2020. And I have lots of things to show you in terms of getting things kitted up. So I went down to Acorns a couple of days ago, and my husband and I had to go down there, and he was a total trooper. He helped with the driving. We got down there safely. We spent a little over an hour. I was rocking and rolling. I shopped efficiently. But oh my gosh, you guys, I am thinking, well, we can talk about that in a minute, but anyway, why don't we start with what my plans are for this week. Now the week is almost over, and one of the things I have found now that we're back on our regular schedule, I'm thinking I might have to record at the beginning of the weeks. I was recording on Wednesdays, and that worked out really great last year. But I'm finding that Wednesdays are incredibly busy here in 2020, only 11 days in, but really, really busy. So I might have to change my filming schedule. And I usually have time in the mornings to sit down and get some stitching and get things planned out before my day gets rolling. So it might be that I do a morning filming and then get it uploaded while I'm at work. But anyway, we'll see. It's okay. it'll be fine. We will still connect and have plenty of time to be together and talk about cross stitch. So, all right, why don't I start by, I just want to start by showing you my finish, okay? Let's start there. I don't think that's where you usually start. I think you usually start with whips and then finishes, but whatever. I wanted to show you my finish. So I already have one finish for 2020, and it is this. I finished one of the ornaments from Lila's studio. So as you can see, I finished Noel, and yeah, I just love this cute little bird. He is just adorable, and I'm super happy how he turned out. I love all the kind of the scroll work in the middle of the bird, and that was really a fun stitch for me. So because I have finished Noel, now I've got two ornaments ready to finish, but I'm not going to finish them quite yet because I started another one. This is my first start for 2020, and this is the Love ornament, also from Lila's studio. And let's see here, yeah. So here you can see what that's going to look like when it's all stitched up. What I'm finding is, at least on these other guys, the snowflakes that you can kind of see here, let me get my hand out of the way. You can kind of see on the edges here and here, they're pretty close to the same color as the fabric. So I was thinking on the future ones that maybe I'll try stitching the snowflakes in the DMC Etoile and see how that looks. So I think I'm going to try that on some of the future ones, but the Love ornament that I'm stitching right now, that doesn't have snowflakes on the side. I think the one I'm going to do next, I think I'm going to do Faith next. Oops, sorry. And I think I will try doing a toile for the snowflakes that are on the side and see how those show up. So I'm kind of looking forward to my next ornament. So that's where I am on ornaments, and I haven't posted them yet on Instagram, but there is a hashtag for stitching ornaments here in 2020, which I had told you on my last FlossTube. I wanted to keep stitching ornaments, so I have handmade items on the tree. So the hashtag for Instagram, in case you're stitching ornaments along with me, is called Ornament Sal 2020. Ornament Sal 2020. So I think I'll iron this up and then take a couple of pictures and get that posted on Instagram and see who else is stitching ornaments along with me. There were a couple of people that had commented that they were going to do that. So it's fun to still be stitching ornaments, and we'll keep that trend going. Okay, so the other thing that I've done is I grabbed all of the pages from the 24 Hours of Cross Stitch Planner, and I showed you this last time. And this is Jen Lee created this, and this is on you can buy it through her Etsy shop, but there's also a Facebook, and I think the Etsy shop is linked in the Facebook page, so you can find it easily. And so anyway, I have printed, can you see that? Oh, it's a big one. I printed all 86 pages that she created, and I started filling them out for January. And if you're on her free Facebook group, you'll recognize this. This is the monthly challenge. So the words here are ready, set, XS, so, you know, cross stitch, and then an exclamation point. So I spent a little bit of time at the beginning of the week trying to figure out what my plan is, because this is for a whole month, and I filled it in pencil. So I could change things up if I find that as I'm going along in the month that something piques my interest and I want to slide that in. But for a lot of these challenges, I was able to put in Pretty Little Seattle, like for the R in Ready. I decided that from Pretty Little Seattle there's rain in the pattern, so I'm using rain for the R. And then the next letter is E, and I decided it's Seattle and we're the Emerald City, so I'm also going to do Pretty Little Seattle again for the E. And then I decided for the A and the D, I wanted to start making some progress on the hands-on design laundry series, because I've only got one of them done and I have 2 more to do. And so I decided for the A in Ready that the laundry is air drying. So I figured out a way to get that to work in my stitching challenge. And then D, on one of the patterns, there's actually a little dryer, and so I am using dryer for the D. So I won't go through all of them all month for the whole month, but I've got quite a list of things set up for myself for the 24 hours of cross stitch. And then the next thing that I did was I went and looked at a couple of the Facebook groups that I follow. So I follow, or I guess I'm a member of Enchanted Stitches. And what I liked about it, what I really am finding I like about Enchanted Stitches is they have three levels of stitching for each challenge. So you can decide how much or how little stitching you want to do for each challenge. And they also have it where it can be a stitching, you know, you count the number of stitches challenge, or it can be a minute challenge. And I really like that flexibility. So the 4 tasks for us this week, now it's all based on Peter Pan. This month's challenge, they're all based on the Disney movie Peter Pan. And so the first task this week was put away a whip that you need to put away for whatever reason. Like it's a Christmas stitch and so you want to put it away, or maybe you're having to wait for part of it to come out. So maybe it's a challenge or a sal that is released bit by bit, so you're having to wait for the next part to come up, so you can't stitch it right away. So on that one, I kind of thought the whip, you know, whip to put away, I might consider maybe the ornaments, because it's something that you think you should put away, because ornaments are for the holidays, you know, like Christmas, and I don't know if they do ornaments for Hanukkah. I think they do. Anyway, so I was thinking, well, I'd maybe count my ornament stitching for that, and I put down that I'd like to do 2 hours of stitching on my ornament to fulfill task number 1, which I've already completed, so I've got that done for this week. And then task number 2 is talking about, in Peter Pan, Nana is the nursemaid for the Darling children, and so stitch on a piece that has, how did they word it? That has your dream nursemaid. And so for that one, in Pretty Little Seattle, they have this beautiful orca. And I thought, well, an orca would kind of be a fun nursemaid. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do stitches on Pretty Little Seattle and try to get the orca done this week. I haven't started yet, but today is only Saturday. So I'm going to stitch tonight. I'm going to have stitch tomorrow. So I think I'll totally get to the orca. So I'll get that done. And I figure that will probably take me, I'm a slow stitcher, it'll probably take me 2 hours. So I've got the orca planned for the dream nursemaid. And then for task number 3, we need to stitch in something in black or gray. And I think that's kind of for Peter's shadow. And I haven't figured that one out yet. So I gotta go through my whoops and see what I can come up with that has black or gray in it. And there's a lot of words and outlines in the laundry series. So I'm gonna go look through that and see if maybe I can find something that'll fulfill that from the laundry stitches. And then the last one is when the kids, the darling children, meet Peter and then they have to learn how to fly, but you have to have a happy thought. Task number 4 is stitch on something that makes you happy. And so again, I'm using Pretty Little Seattle because I love the colors in that. And that one just makes me happy. And I've already done my 2 hours for that task as well. So I have half of my 4 tasks completed. And then let me show you where I'm at on Pretty Little Seattle. So I got down on the bottom, I got the fairy finished. So, and then I got quite a bit of the, I got the water. Let me hold that closer so you can really take a peek. So I got the water under the fairy done, and then the orca is going to be right about, he fits right about here. So I need to kind of get over there and get working on the orca. And that's totally doable. I can get that done. So that's my plan for Enchanted Stitches. And then the other Facebook group I follow from last year is the School of Magical Stitches and Literature. And that last year was all Harry Potter themed, and I love Harry Potter. So that was super easy for me to kind of get hooked into their Facebook group and their weekly challenges. This year they're doing the Disney Kingdom Keeper books by Pearson Ridley. I think that's the author's name. And I haven't read those, and I will confess they're not as hooking for me because I haven't read them. Probably, I think if I've read them, maybe I would be a little more excited. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to participate as fully this year as I did last year with the School of Magical Stitches and Literature, because their challenges are all based on the number of stitches that you stitch, and you have to count your stitches. And at first that was kind of fun, you know, I've got little clickers and I click them as, you know, as I do my stitches. But now that I've been doing Enchanted Stitches, and they just track, I mean, you can track stitches if you want, but tracking the number of minutes you stitch, man, that's easier. And so because of that, I'm finding that my attention is kind of drawn to the other group as opposed to the School of Magical Stitches and Literature. So at this point, I'm not necessarily completely bagging the School of Magical Stitches and Literature. It's just that I think I like the other tracking better. It's a whole lot easier for me, and I don't have to wonder, well, did I count these stitches or did I not count these stitches? So I'm kind of I'm kind of on the fence with the School of Magical Stitches and Literature. I'll just tell you what their tasks are this week, and I've already figured out what I would do, and I can double up from Enchanted Stitches. So in the School of Magical Stitches, they have 4 tasks. 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 4 tasks also. You need to stitch on a project that's taking you longer than you think it should, or that you think it needs to be, which I've decided is Pretty Little Seattle. You need to stitch on something that's related to a fire station, and I figured that could absolutely be Pretty Little Seattle again because of all the water underneath. You know, fire stations, they, you know, put out fires with water, right? Makes sense. And then it's interesting, they have one that's identical to Enchanted Stitches, which is stitch on something in DMC Black 310. So once I figure that one out, this one, I'll have that one done as well. And then the last one is stitch on something with human characteristics. So like, what were the examples they gave? Like a rabbit that's wearing a hat, or, you know, you get the idea. So what I thought was one of the Lila Studios things is the snowman. I mean, they've totally given that snowman human characteristics, right? He's wearing a hat, he's got eyes and nose, he's wearing a scarf. So I thought, if I decide that I want to do that task for School of Magical Stitches and Literature, I think this one would work perfectly. But then I'd have another new start for January. So that, you know, that's kind of fun too, and it gets me more hashtags on Instagram. So, you know, I'm kind of playing with it. I'm not 100% sold that I'm going to continue with Magical Stitches, but at least this week, the 2 tasks mesh really well, and so I can kind of double dip on my stitching. So that's kind of my stitchy plans for this week. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, I'm having a good time. It's you know, any stitching is good stitching, right? As long as you're stitching, you should be happy. Okay, so that's kind of my plans. Excuse me. Excuse me. For the rest of the week, and that'll kind of get me going for 2020. So I thought what I'd like to do next is, I know I talked about wanting to stitch with Lisa, who's crossed by floss. Sorry, Lisa. I'll link it below. Don't worry about it. I'll link it below. But she talked about wanting to stitch freebie patterns, and now that I've kind of got that on my, you know, on the back of my head, I am running across tons. God, excuse me. I may have a drink of coffee here. Okay, I think I'm better now. I've come across all sorts of freebies, things that are starting at the beginning of the year, things that are year-long stitch-alongs, and so I'm kind of intrigued by this whole idea of these year-long freebie stitch-alongs. So I just wanted to share a few that I haven't started stitching, but I'm intrigued by, and if you are stitching them, leave me a comment down below and tell me how you're liking it, and if you find it worthwhile. I know that there are people out there that have done these in years past. Tell me your experience. If do you get halfway through and then you peter out and you're no longer enjoying it, or do you get all the way through and you're like, yep, I'm so glad I did that. Okay, so the first one that I've come across is by Linens and Threads. So they have a website. Let me just hold this up for you. Okay, they have a website. It's linensandthreads.com, and they have done a stitch-along, a year-long stitch-along since 2017. So this will be their fourth one, and what I just showed you is the first part of their free year-long stitch-along. And they also have a Facebook group, so it's Linen and Threads on Facebook. And oh my goodness, you guys, the thing that I find slightly intimidating and also really cool is, so here's the pattern. You know, this is a freebie, so I can hold it up and show it to you. Is they don't suggest a floss or flosses. You decide. You decide what color you want to make it. Do you want to do it, you know, in a rainbow sequence? Do whatever you want. Do you want to stitch it on 28 count? Great. Do you want to stitch it on, you know, 14 count Ada? Do your thing. Whatever you want. It's interesting. I mean, this is gonna be a big gal. When it is done, the finished piece is gonna be 244 wide by 244 high. So, I mean, that's just a little itty bitty corner. So this is a freebie. If you need something to stitch and you don't want to spend any money on a pattern, here you go. The next one that I have come across, and I've seen lots of people talking about this in years, you know, over the last year. This one is brand new to me. I have not heard of these guys at all. This is called Peppermint Purple. And it's a year of black work. I'll hold that up for you. So this is actually their week 2. See if I can get you a better look at it. But what this is a 52-week challenge. And it's the same sort of thing. Now this is amazing, you guys. Look at this. It's got a border, got a great big huge border, and they have suggested DMC colors for each square, and it's black work. And again, because this is a freebie, I can just hold it up there. Can you believe that? So here's another one that I find fascinating. And I've never done black work, and I don't know much about it, but it seems to me like, I don't know, black work seems just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to say this and then you're all going to go, it seems like glorified back stitching, right? It seems like it should be super simple, and I'm sure it's way more complicated than that. But, you know, in my novice brain, this seems really doable. So it's only week 2 and I haven't started, but I think, I don't know, I might jump on that bandwagon. And they also have, I think I mentioned it, they have a Facebook group, and it's Peppermint Purple Sal group. So if you search that in Facebook, you'll find it immediately. And there's already folks that have completed the first 2 weeks, and their work is amazing. So you might want to check it out. All right, another freebie that I came across. This is by Stone Street Stitchworks. Stone Street Stitchworks. And this is their Winter Village. You see that? I'll hold it down so you can see it. So this one, they have a website, but I couldn't find the freebie pattern, and I had seen it. I had seen somebody talk about it on Instagram, and they listed the gal's email. And so the email is Stone Street Stitch Works with an S at the end @gmail.com. And they said just email her and tell her that you would like her Winter Village pattern. I sent her an email. I think 2 hours later, she had responded. Super quick, super nice email, and said, "Here's your free pattern. I'm really glad that you're interested in stitching it." And it couldn't have been easier. And I think she also has an Etsy shop, and I was over there poking around. There are some super nice charts over there that would totally be worth spending money on. So if you need a freebie, email Stone Street Stitchworks @gmail.com and we can get a copy of this. Okay, another one that I saw this finished. Let me just show you the corner of the chart. I'll pull it out so you can see the pattern, because again, this is a freebie. I had seen somebody had posted on Instagram that they had stitched this and finished, and this is called Stars Over Pines. And look at that. Isn't that cute? Oh, I just loved it. So anyway, I went and, where is it? Oh yeah, so it's by Blue Ribbon Designs, okay? And I went to their website, blueribbondesigns.com. I'm looking at my notes. Yep, blueribbondesigns.com, and I could not find this. So I thought, well, maybe this was something that was free a while ago and maybe now it isn't. And so I tried searching by the name of the pattern, and I just, I couldn't make heads or tails finding this. So there was a contact me on the webpage, and so I just shot the person an email and said, "Hey, I'm looking for Stars Over Pines, and I think this is, such a super cute pattern. I absolutely love down on the bottom that little poinsettia border." And I told her that in the email, and she said, "Hey, it's still a free pattern, and it turns out you just have to know the secret, right? And to get that pattern, you go to blueribbondesigns.com and then /free_charts.html. So I put that all in, it pulled up, and you guys, there's not one pattern under there. There's, I think there's 8. There's 8 free patterns, and they're not all Christmas and winter. I think there's one that would be perfect for St. Patrick's Day. So if you're looking for a whole bunch of free patterns that would keep you stitching the whole year long, you should check that out. So this idea of stitching free patterns has really resonated with me, and I am finding all sorts of amazing charts to stitch. And I'm not spending any money on charts. We'll talk about spending money in just a second. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what else? I've got linens, blue ribbon, Stone Street, peppermint purple, and then the last one, and I've talked about this one before, is the Snowflower Diaries. And if you Google search them, it takes you to her blog, and it's the snowflowerdiaries.blogspot.com. And if you scroll through that, on the left-hand side are links to her charts, and some of them are in Etsy, and some right across this top, it'll say free. And if you click on them, I think there are 16, or at least there's 16 patterns that I have downloaded for free off of her blog spot. And I'm all ready to stitch up 12 of them because they're a January through December patterns. And I'll show you those in just a second because when I was down at Acorns, I did some kitting up. So that's another place. So I'm just going to leave free patterns there. That should get you going for a little bit if you need some help finding free patterns. Now, if you know of some free patterns, put them in the comment section below so that we can all share from that knowledge, because it's going to be super fun for all of us to have that information. Okay, the last free pattern that I'm going to talk about in this little section is for Australia, for all the wildfires going on over there. Sassy Jacks has this little Aussie Friends pattern available for free on their website, which is sassyjackstitchery.com. So if you go over to Sassy Jack Stitchery, you can download this. Now, the trick with this pattern, well, it's not a trick with a pattern, but there are lots of places where you can buy a chart and then the proceeds from the sale will then be forwarded to Australia Fire Relief. Sassy Jacks is doing something different, which I think is great. I like how everybody is kind of taking this idea of helping and putting their own spin on it. And I think this is kind of a unique and cool idea. So what Sassy Jacks wants you to do is actually stitch this, okay? So stitch up the pattern, and it is, oh my gosh, I think I was holding it upside down. Sorry guys. It is not very big. What is the stitch count on this thing? 52 by 52. It's a square. So, it's pretty quick and easy, right? And it's only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's only has 8 colors listed in it. But once you've got it stitched, then share it on social media with, I think the hashtag is, I think they just want Aussie Friends to be the hashtag. I think that's what I remember. It doesn't say it on here, but I think that's what it is. Or you can email Sassy Jacks and tell them that you stitched it, or you can post it on Facebook. Obviously, you can post it on Instagram. And for each share, I mean, I don't think it's each share, but I think for every person that stitches this and posts it out on social media, Sassy Jacks will then forward a donation to the fire recovery in Australia. So, again, another free pattern. And then, speaking of helping out with the fire recovery, there is one pattern that I purchased through Etsy, and it's this little cutie patootie koala, and I purchased this through Fiddlesticks AU, and Fiddlesticks AU for each purchase will forward any profits after they've paid, I think, their PayPal and Etsy fees. So anything beyond that is then forwarded to fire recovery in Australia. So here is another way that we can help with fire recovery in Australia. So this guy isn't free. This one's not a free pattern. Just want to make sure you know that. I think, oh gosh, I can't remember what I paid, but it might have been 4 something, 5 something. So I figure even if I never get it stitched, which is not my intent. I intend to stitch that because that is one cute little koala. But even if I don't get it stitched right away, I still will have helped, ever so slightly with you know, the recovery from the wildfires over in Australia. Okay, so there we got some freebies. We've got some help with a charity. The next thing is haul. Okay, confession time. I think I'm going to be a total failure at Stitch from Stash. I think I'm okay with that. I went to Acorns and Threads, and I've got my baggie right here, and I needed to kit some stuff up. Now, the problem for me with Stitch from Stash is I don't really have fabric stash. I've got chart stash. I do not need to buy a chart, let me tell you. And then I found all these freebies, so I really don't need to buy a chart. So, I think for me, Stitch from Stash should just be, you only have to count it if it's a chart, because I've never joined a Floss of the Month or a Fabric of the Month club, so I really don't have tons of fabric sitting around somewhere in a bin or a box or a closet. So because of that, the whole Stitch from Stash thing is a little harder. So I'll just show you what I kitted up because I had a good time. All right, I went down there and I already owned Cinnamon Stars, which you've seen that before. So I picked up for Cinnamon Stars, I picked up a beautiful 32 count R&R linen in apple brown. Isn't that pretty? And then, of course, I was missing like a million flosses. So there's all the flosses for Cinnamon Stars. And I had quite a few of them, quite a few of the colors. I mean, this chart, holy Toledo, you guys, this has a lot of colors. And I thought I didn't want to do these because this chart is so pretty that I thought the variegation from the overdyed floss makes this chart. So I went crazy. I bought the overdyed, I bought the fabric, but I'm ready to stitch it. And I don't know when I'm gonna start this one yet, but when I do, I'm ready. So that was the first thing I kitted up. The next thing that I kind of kitted it, is I knew that I would have to do, I knew that I'd probably have to special order the fabric for Harbor Haven, and that turns out that's exactly what I had to do. I was able to go down there and touch the fabric, and I found a fabric that I really liked, and then, so that's on order for me. And I wanted to change out the watercolor because I didn't really like the DMC that when I pulled it from my DMC stash. So I don't know if that helps at all. So this, of course, is going to be, this dark one is going to be my shadow, and then this is going to be the main color, and those are, so the darker one in the shadow is going to be Bejeweled by Classic Colorworks, and then the lighter is going to be from Weeks, and that is their turquoise, which I think is beautiful. So I have an order in for, it's going to be 45 inches long, 45 inches long piece of linen to do Harbor Haven on. So that's the second thing that I kitted up. And then after that, I kitted up Gathering Pine Cones, and Becca, Sambray Stitches, and I are going to do a stitch along on this one. And so that's the pattern. And this is an old pattern, so it's not something I think that you could order. You would just have to have it. So on that, I picked up a 28 count, beautiful 28 count light mocha. And then this thing only has 4 flosses. And so I picked up a silk for the pine cones. I picked up a Gloriana. Oops, sorry. And this is called, I think I picked up the same thing. Yep, this is black walnut. I picked up the same thing that Becca picked up, because when I got down there and started looking, I mean, there were so many choices, but you know what? This was pretty much the best. And then I picked up Classic Colorworks. This is going to be for the alphabet, and then also the pine branches, and this is called English Ivy. And let me give you one more look at all that. Isn't that pretty? So I'm really excited. We're going to start that in February. And so that will be my February start. And then it's February is also the month of my birthday. So I think I'm going to call this my birthday start. So I'm looking forward to working on this. And all of these pine cones on this pattern are, sorry about the glare, are a different specialty stitch. So this is going to be kind of challenging because I don't know hardly any specialty stitches. So this is going to be fun. I am totally looking forward to that. Okay, and then the fourth thing that I kitted up is from the Snowflower Diaries and their monthly calendars. And so this is January, and then you can see the pattern. It's got the cute little fox and little crow on it. And I'll show you a few of them. This is February, of course, and with little duckies. And March, oops, pulled two of them, sorry. There's March. And these are going to be cute. These are all free. These are all free downloads on her blog spot. And then here is April. Little bunnies. Isn't that sweet? So anyway, enough of that. So then I picked up a 32 count Lakeside linen in vintage pecan butter. So I'm going to pull that a little farther back. So this piece of linen, this is 27 by 18. And so we figure Jolynn and I did, actually, that's not true. Jolynn did the math. I just stood there and went, oh, okay, that sounds good. So Jolynn did the math for me, and we figured on this size piece of fabric, I can get six bits, so I can get 6 months on that. So I'm really excited to do these. These have been on my radar actually before I started thinking about doing freebie patterns. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. And then the last thing that I got at Acorns was a Waxing Moon design pattern. It's Search the Skies. And Becca, Sandbury Stitches, and Anna, the Stitch Roadie, they're doing a sale in January. They started this, and I've ordered my fabric from, oh shoot, I can't remember. Anyway, when I think of it, I can link it in the show notes, but it's going to be a navy blue, and probably have seen this before. Sorry, I've got a bit of a glare going on there. I just can't get rid of it. Oh well. So when I get my fabric, that will be another January start. So that will be my starts. Oh, and I have one other start that I'm planning on for January. I'm planning on doing by the Shepherd's Bush the Merry Notes, kind of in the Spooky Note series. I did Spooky Notes in the fall last year, so Merry Notes is on my radar. So between Ornaments, Merry Notes, and Search the Skies, that'll be three starts for January, which is plenty, because I definitely want to get things finished. My plans for 2020 is not just to be a serial starter and never be a finisher, so I definitely want to get things finished. I'm trying to think if I've got any other stitchy plans going on in my head that I want to share with you right now. I think that might be it. All right. One of the things I wanted to share this with you because I thought it was brilliant. I was talking to Jolynn and Janine when I was down at Acorns getting, all this stuff kitted up. That, man, I've got a lot of stitching to do, and I need to stitch fast because I want to finish stuff and get stuff done. And Jolynn stopped me and she said, "No, that's not right." I'm like, "What do you mean that's not right?" She said, "Don't stitch fast, stitch happy." And I was like, I loved that. I loved that idea, that I don't have to be like slamming and jamming down the road. I don't have to be stitching as quick as I can, that I can be happy while I'm stitching, which I am, and I hope you are too. But I just thought that was brilliant. That was brilliant, that I don't need to worry about how fast somebody else is stitching and how slow I'm stitching. If I'm stitching happy, I'm good. So I want to leave you with that thought: stitch happy. All right, you guys, that's it for me today. I hope you have a good weekend, a good rest of your weekend, and I'll see you probably sooner than last time. All right, bye.